call to order our Affordable Housing Subcommittee meeting. Thanks so much for joining us on a cold St. Patrick's Day. We are going to begin with our public comment today. And I believe we have quite a few folks signed up, and I'm going to call you in the order in which you signed up, but I am going to read the reminder of public comment rules. The time limit for your individual comment to the subcommittee is 3 minutes. Please state your name when you begin speaking. If your time expires, you may leave any question, further comments along with your name, address, and phone number with county staff who are seated here in the front. Subcommittee members are not expected to comment on any matters during public comment. This is your time to speak to us. All public comments must be directed to all of the subcommittee as a whole, not to an individual member, staff, or the audience. There is no clapping, snapping, or booing allowed during public comment. Jonathan Jones is keeping time on his phone, and so when you hear the buzzer, the beep, whatever that noise is that is attached to his phone, your time will be completed. All right, excited to see so many folks here today, and we're going to start with Jeffrey Barton from Mountain Housing Opportunities.
Thank you. My name is Jeffrey Barton with Mountain Housing Opportunities. It's a pleasure to speak with you today, and thanks for having an opportunity in a public forum for people to come and engage in this process. As you all know, the work of Mountain Housing Opportunities, and today I'm here to speak in support of two requests that we put in. One that was discussed at your last meeting for our emergency essential home repair program. This program has been operating successfully since our founding in 1988. And last year we conducted over 250 home repairs, some of them storm related, some of them not. We depleted and fully utilized our last county home grant and are seeking additional support so that we can continue to operate and offer this into the community, specifically for low-income homeowners who do not have Helene damage. There are many homeowners out there that can't track back to Helene impact, and our ability to serve them is really subject to available funds. So would appreciate consideration of that. We also put in an administrative support grant this year to operate the array of programs that we do. It takes a lot of administrative backbone, and each of the funding sources has slowly whittled down what it will do to cover administrative costs. So to have a full service, not just tax credit developer, but down payment assistance provider, home repair organization takes robust administrative support. So seeking your support on that as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeffrey. Thanks, Jeffrey. And Anna with ABCLT, if you will tell me how to correctly pronounce your name, I would appreciate that.
Zievska. Thank you. Anna Zievska with Asheville Buncombe Community Land Trust. I'm really excited to be here in front of you all as you discuss our request for down payment assistance. So we've gone back and forth with staff, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have during the discussion. What I will say is that our program is newer and different than other programs in the area, so we appreciate you willing to explore how we can make the funding align with our program. What I will say is that we sell our homes for $250,000 or less. Currently, we haven't sold a home for more than $200,000. Right now, we have a little bit of an anomaly where we have a bigger home that was more expensive, and so that will sell for $250,000. But again, we are typically in that $200,000 range. The reason why we're coming to you with a request for down payment assistance is because most of our buyers pre-qualify for $150,000 or below. So you can already see that there's a gap after we provide substantial investment already up front. So the reason for our request is to be able to open up our pool of applicants more so to our program. Our buyers get traditional mortgages from lenders that we work with, so we don't provide our own financing. We have to outsource that. And of course, that comes with strings. So we have to make sure that our buyers can get pre-qualified with those lenders. So again, I just want to reiterate that majority of people that are coming to our program that are in our area, making the incomes that are available in our area, are only about to pre-qualify for about $150,000. And that is really the most pressing need that we have at this time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna. Jean Edison, you signed up for public comment? I also have several folks from your organization signed up. So whoever wants to go. We've got Anna and Christian.
Afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm Anna Pizzo with Safe Shelter, and just want to comment on the winter that has been really unreal. You guys are experiencing it today, where we've had snow in mid-March, and Safe Shelter has stepped up in such a significant way this winter. Our executive director, Christian Chambers, has been the lead Code Purple work group member for the Continuum of Care for Buncombe County and Asheville City. This was the first year that homelessness agencies coordinated across different groups to come up with a collaborative program, and actually Safe Shelter hired 2 staff members with a phone number that was available 24/7 to help direct people to the best shelter for their needs. And we were able to offer a variety of shelters, including for people with pets, families, single men and single women. There was such a great need for men's shelter beds that we actually opened up a completely unfunded shelter at First Presbyterian Church downtown in January and February. That ran as an overflow Code Purple shelter. So there was about 200 people who came and utilized those 20 beds in just the 30 days throughout the 2 months that it was open. And Safe Shelter as well had 50 beds that we offered as continuous winter shelter. So that was, rather than Code Purple, it was open continuously from November 1st until March 31st. And if you've already started to see more encampments pop up around town, that's only going to increase as that winter shelter comes to a close at the end of the month. Safe Shelter is committed to serving more people. We've had to expand to different locations in order to do that. But we are looking at getting fire sprinklers. We already have a lot of that funding. The permits are already in to the permitting office. The contractors are lined up, and that would be able to give fire sprinklers to our entire 15,000 square foot building. We plan on a minimum of 15 beds, increasing through that. And then we're also working on a lot of housing efforts, including an effort with land that's already been secured to start building affordable tiny homes in a whole kind of village concept, using volunteers and working with partners like AB Tech and Youth Builds. So really grateful for you all, and thanks for listening.
Thanks, Anna. Christian Chambers? Okay, Anna's going to speak for y'all. All right, Kimberly Treadway.
Thanks for inviting us here to speak on our organization's behalf. My name is Kimberly Treadway. I'm speaking on behalf of the Heart House Comprehensive Recovery Community. I have reviewed the reports given by the subcommittee and just wanted to address a couple of things that we are a branded 501c3. In light of that, we are not brand new as a team. Our team has a collective over 30 years of nonprofit experience in substance use disorder, homelessness services, harm reduction. I currently have over a year as the executive director of Holler Harm Reduction in Madison County, North Carolina. And separate from that, we've been facilitating low barrier substance use peer support groups since January 2023. So the reason that we didn't have some of the financial documents is simply that we just didn't have those since we got our 501c3 status in September of 2025. We are founded by people with lived experience and have seen this gap in our community of a secular, free, transitional living home for people experiencing homelessness to pursue recovery with flexibility, person-centered care, not having to pay after the first 2 weeks and get a job immediately, but really like developing some life skills to be able to go back into the community and actually have some agency around the housing that they pursue after the home and not be limited to just assistance programs, that they could possibly get on their own feet and do that themselves. I'm trying to think of anything else on the report. Anything that we didn't have to submit was because of our newness as an organization, but we are very prepared to do this project. We have a couple of properties in mind. We also have staff not in mind, but myself and Vincent Greco here would be the executive director and program manager. We also have other staff ready. We just don't have the funding to pay people yet, but that's what we're doing. We're trying to get started. So thank you.
Thank you. Vincent, you're also signed up. Do you want to speak as well? Okay. I'm sorry for calling folks out. I just want to make sure everybody gets a chance. Catherine Mincher.
Hey everyone, I'm here from Homeward Bound of Western North Carolina, and I really appreciate the transparent process that this funding opportunity has provided for nonprofits in the region. I want to also respond to something that was in the subcommittee materials. So we have put in a request for administrative support for our permanent supportive housing specialist role. That's an existing role. And when I submitted the application, I'm not sure why, but I didn't put the percentage of folks who have a BIPOC identity who we serve. Judging by our current permanent supportive housing clientele, I think it's fair to assume that about 26% of households supported by this role would identify as a BIPOC community member. So I wanted to kind of enter that for the record. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. We appreciate you addressing that clarification. Stephanie Gerber.
Hey everyone, I'm Stephanie with Pisco Legal Services, and thank you so much for the opportunity to apply for that administrative support section of this grant. We applied for free legal services to prevent evictions in Buncombe County. We've been seeing a rise since Hurricane Helene in evictions, but also in the lack of places where people can go. As you know, in Buncombe County, over 12,000 homes were damaged or destroyed, and 76% of those were low-income or moderate-income households. So even if somebody does get evicted, there really is no place for them to go, and we work really hard to provide services on site at the courthouse, so we can do on-the-spot issue spotting and help prevent or delay evictions, and then also just keep people in their home. So we have one of the program directors of the homelessness prevention program with us, David.
Yeah, I'll just thank you so much for having us, David Bartholomew, the program director for homelessness prevention. Just want to thank you all for having us, and thank you for the opportunity to keep doing this work. In light of the disaster, we had an affordable housing disaster before the hurricane hit. 60% of our applicants have been suffered from Hurricane Helene damage. And if we want to focus on displacement, which I think is so important, homelessness prevention services that we provide are key to that. Every time we represent somebody, we help them be able to stay in the community. I really appreciate your support.
Okay. Thank you all. All right, that comes to the end of the list, but is there anyone who would like to speak that did not sign up? Yeah, come on forward. Just share your name and which organization you're in.
I'm Tara Robinson. I represent Wild Abundance. We applied for a grant to fund our program. We are a carpentry and homesteading school in Barnesville, North Carolina, and we secured funding after Helene to donate one of the homes that we built during our classes to a single mother of three who lost their home during Helene, and we are hoping to continue that work. We run the program successfully without funding, but we usually sell our houses that we build at the cost of the materials, and that's it. And we'd like to donate them and continue to donate them. And so I'm here to answer questions. I probably will step out because she's feeling a little lively today, but I'm here whenever it comes up. Thanks.
Thank you. We appreciate the cute co-speaker with you today. All right, thanks everyone. All right, we'll move to our next agenda item, which is our meeting minutes from March 5th. Are there any corrections, additions that need to be made to those?
I'll make a motion to approve the previous meeting's minutes.
All right. Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, our meeting minutes from March 5th are approved. All right, we'll go ahead and start our presentations this afternoon. All right, let me get to that right page on that, Jonathan. I got so excited about public comment that I'm not quite up to speed in my packet yet. All right, so we've got our AHSP application reviews continued. And Jonathan, are you going to be the lead for us?
I will start
Okay.
us off. So we have for today's meeting a review of the next batch of 11 applications that were submitted. We've categorized these. They will primarily focus on down payment assistance, administrative support, and New Start. And then we will have 2 groups of applications that were submitted by the same applicant. We're referring to those as interdependent applications because they completed one form in the grants portal, but combined their requests to represent multiple requests. So we will cover those in tandem. You should have already received the staff reports and application materials to review. Staff provided those reports to the applicants to ensure that there was accuracy. As we go through the presentations, we'll cover the basics of the application and attempt to answer any questions from the staff perspective. Obviously, we have folks that are representing the organizations if for some reason you would like to address them to ask questions that staff can't cover. We'd be glad to facilitate that. So I will go ahead and pass this on to Matt, and we will be talking about down payment assistance.
All right, thank you, Jonathan. So Matt Card with Community Development, and I'm going to talk about down payment assistance applications. We did receive 2 applications through the Affordable Housing Services Program, the first of which was Asheville Buncombe Community Land Trust. They are requesting $300,000. The total AHSP impact would be 10 households. And these 10 households would be purchased using ABCLT's land trust model. To ensure permanent affordability, ABCLT retains ownership of the land while the homeowners purchase the dwellings at an affordable price. Anna did a great job at explaining this earlier. The example that we give in the staff report is $180,000, but they have homes that go up to $250,000 as well. The way staff looked at this is the AHSP down payment assistance is limited to 10% of the cost to the home buyer. So we were looking at that as the purchase price. So that $250,000 or that $180,000 is kind of meeting that 10% AHSP kind of max. The staff report does kind of go into this in a little bit more detail. Based on their application, the average assistance per household, based on that $300,000, based on 10 households impacted, would be $30,000 per household. There is none of those funds are going to admin, and they do not have any existing county funds. And the total project cost, based on the application, is $4 million for these 10 households. Are there any questions about this application?
I do have a question about the funds for admin. Are other dollars being used to support administrative costs? Okay. Other questions?
All right, our second down payment assistance application is Asheville Area Habitat for Humanity. This is their Tried Street development. This is new construction to down payment assistance. This is similar to what you've seen before with Habitat for Humanity. An example of this is the Glen Bridge development that they did a couple years ago. Total AHSP request is $816,000. This will impact 23 households for an average assistance per household of $35,000. The funding will start out to support infrastructure costs for this new subdivision in the Shiloh community, and then AHSP award will convert to down payment assistance after that on the purchase price for the income eligible home buyers for that development. So they use that to build out the development, and then what money would be repaid actually goes into then down payment assistance. The percent for funds for admin is 0%. They do have existing county funds, as I mentioned, the Glen Bridge Phase 2 project, and then scattered site down payment assistance. And this HSP request would support a total project cost of $8 million for, again, a total impact of 23 new single-family multifamily units.
All right.
Questions on this?
One.
It just gives you an idea of the potential impact related to our HSP goals. You can see that there's 87, that's 87, I can't quite see that from here. Completed, perhaps 57 committed, and then you can see the addition of Habitat for Humanity and ABCLT to what is already in the works. We still have a goal balance of 276. Just to give an idea of the target populations that were outlined in the application. And so down payment assistance funding considerations.
Sorry, Matt.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
Does anybody remember what the committed balance, the 57 in the committed column, is that from what source is that from?
that would be for probably the scatter site DPA,
Okay.
Habitat for Humanity, and the Glen Bridge. Probably the developments and the down payment assistance that we've approved in the last few years.
Okay.
So
All combined.
those two,
Yeah, yeah.
and then plus perhaps MHO as well.
Okay. Thanks.
So, community development, kind of division staff comments, ABCLT's project as proposed, doesn't directly adhere to HSP requirements like we talked about. We've got that 10% cost maximum. So, something we could do in the contract is, tailor it and basically make sure that each DPA has a maximum of 10% for each one loan. That is something perhaps we could do, but it does appear eligible for funding at an amount less than requested, like I just discussed. The project presents a healthy financial position and is ready for implementation starting July 1st. Habitat for Humanity's project does appear to adhere to HSP requirements. It's eligible for funding, presents healthy financial position. It's also ready to for implementation starting July 1st. So the recommendation would be either full or partial awards for both projects.
All right. Lacey Hoyle, I don't see your co-presenter, is going to give us the overview of the Administrative Support Program grant requests.
Good afternoon. So yes, I'm going to talk about two of our administrative support requests. The first one is for Homeward Bound for Housing Stability and Systems Coordination. This is an administrative request for $50,000 to impact 101 households experiencing chronic homelessness who are entering Homeward Bound's permanent supportive housing programs. So this request supports Homeward Bound's housing services team, which is the group of folks who are responsible for overseeing placement of households exiting homelessness into the organization's various housing programs. This team also leads the landlord partnership program for the agency. So they are responsible for recruiting landlords, managing relationships with partner landlords, and assisting clients in navigating the landlord and tenant dynamic. This specific request supports staffing costs for the housing specialist who works on behalf of Homeward Bound's permanent supportive housing programs. That position focuses on placement for households that have experienced chronic homelessness and who are slated through our Continuum of Care's coordinated entry process to enter into a permanent supportive housing program. All households served by this position have a disability and are below 80% AMI. And you can see that most of the households supported by this position are below 30% AMI. This request supports a total project cost for the housing team of $319,000, $319,191, and a total impact of 306 households annually across all of the housing programs that Homeward Bound administers. Any questions about this request?
Doesn't look like it.
All right, and then next I am presenting on behalf of Pisgah Legal Services for their homelessness prevention program. This is a request for $50,000 in administrative support to support 30 households who are at imminent risk of homelessness. So this request supports the organization's team that is providing homelessness prevention services. This team provides free legal assistance to qualifying households to delay or prevent evictions and foreclosures, to stabilize households in units that are affordable for them, and to address the quality of housing conditions. Attorneys and staff also provide connection to resources and supportive services for households receiving those homelessness prevention services. Pisgah Legal Services prioritizes disproportionately affected households and households with children. The homelessness prevention program receives referrals in a variety of ways by monitoring eviction dockets. They have on-site legal services at the Buncombe County Courthouse. They collaborate with local nonprofit partners and service providers, and also by word of mouth and walk-ins to their office locations. Pisgah Legal would use these funds to sustain existing positions and the addition of an attorney that was hired in March 2025 to support housing stability and disaster recovery. And this request supports a total project cost of $1,446,976 and a total impact of an estimated 850 households, the majority of which are also under 30% AMI. Questions about this request?
When it says 0 county funds, is that related to that's because there's no administrative support presently for that
That's
program? Or-
That's correct, I believe. That's related
We
to.
don't have any existing contracts.
Yeah, I was no
Right.
contracts either. Okay.
We funded them for this work broadly in the past, though. That's my question.
They've been through those
ARPA? Through ARPA.
strategic partnerships and
And
ARPA,
ARPA.
other sources.
Strategic partnerships, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna pass it back over to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, which we did not award strategic partnership grants last year.
The staff isn't in the room, but I'm curious if year previous, if we funded them through strategic
We can
partnerships.
look that up.
Yeah.
I think we can look
Yeah.
that up. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can answer it.
So this year, the strategic partners,
Yeah, please give them a microphone. Yeah,
Sorry.
they can't hear you.
Thank you.
this year, the funding priorities of the strategic partnership fund has changed and homelessness prevention is no longer eligible. So at the moment, there is no county support for this work. The last time that we received a strategic partnership grant for the work was pre-COVID.
Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. Are there other questions about Pisgah Legal's application? All right.
So Nancy Williams wasn't able to join us today, so I will be filling in for her on some of the projects that have her name on them in this presentation. So I'll be covering the Mountain Housing Opportunities request, building affordable housing capacity. This is the $50,000 request, and it was mentioned earlier in public comment. It's an administrative support request that would support the administrative infrastructure for a wide range of MHO's housing programs, including their rental development, homeowner construction, down payment assistance, and essential home repairs, also their residential services. The average assistance per household on this request is about $18.84 if distributed across all 2,600 impacted households. You'll see all of the projected households served would be below 80% area median income. In terms of existing county funds, the county does support other MHO activities specific to the administrative capacity. There aren't any other contracts in place at this time. This request would support the overall project or organizational budget of $11 million with the goals of assisting, again, 26 households. Questions?
I have a quick question. Actually, this is about the physical legal services application. Is that staff based out of the Charlotte Street office?
The new disaster recovery and housing, yes, they
Okay.
are based out of, and he's regularly at the courthouse offering consult services.
Okay. Sorry. Thank you to double back. Thank you.
Are there any questions about the MHO request?
No.
All right.
So we also provided an overview of the target populations that each project intends to serve. I will note these totals don't total to 100% because there are overlapping populations served, but just to give you an idea of the impact from each of these programs, oftentimes these projections are based on previous experience serving community. So all three projects presented under the administrative support category would adhere to the Rural Health and Service Program requirements, would be eligible for funding. They present health and financial positions and would be ready for implementation at July 1. So the staff recommendation would be to consider a full partial award for these projects.
Thank you. All right, we got our New Start grant request.
So again, I will be stepping in for Nancy on this. We did have one New Start application that was exclusively New Start, and this was the Wild Abundance Social Responsibility Fund, their Build, Learn, House program, 4-month carpentry training program. Again, the goal on this project is to construct a tiny home as part of a workforce construction training program intended to support women and non-binary individuals who are learning the construction trades. The request is for $45,000 as a New Start grant, and the result would be that the home would be then donated to a Helene-impacted household. The funding would be used specifically to cover the material costs, so the volunteer labor would be provided through the organization, and the organization would intend to make that as that home a donation to a displaced household. This does not represent any administrative expenses in the request and has not been supported through county funding previously. The total cost of this project is listed at $45,000 to benefit one household.
Why does it appear not to be eligible for funding?
So the within the Affordable Housing Service Program, we have a number of funding categories, and one of those would be construction of units, either for rent or for ownership. So as a project focused on construction for ownership, this would be eligible under a different category, but the applicant requested the funds as a New Start program. So as a New Start program, the goal is that it would be a newer, innovative program, something unique or groundbreaking, something that's not been seen in the community before, something that the county doesn't already have a funding category within the Affordable Housing Service Program. So that's part of the flexibility available under New Start is if it's not something that could be funded in another category, it might be a good candidate for a New Start. So
You're saying this could be funded in another category?
This could be funded in another category. Would also want to point out that under that construction program, the request would be capped at 10% of the cost of the unit. So the $45,000 materials requested for this grant would, under the construction loan or construction grant program would be limited to 10% of that cost. The other issue that staff have identified is that the program doesn't actually have a mechanism for the donation of a home under our program. All of our housing assistance for ownership is formatted as a loan, repayable upon sale. So the program doesn't have a particular mechanism to facilitate a grant that would then be donated to an individual household. So the staff's recommendation would be not to award this recommendation, but that the applicant could return for a future application cycle as a construction request. Questions?
All right, we've got our applicants with interdependent requests. Jonathan is going to continue for us.
Great. So the first applicant with an interdependent request was Safe Shelter. Their first request was for a shelter expansion project, and this was a construction grant request. The construction grant program is intended to support the creation of new non-revenue generating units. So this would be namely emergency shelter units. And so the request from Safe Shelter was $167,100, and the target would be to impact their emergency shelter in West Asheville by expanding the bed capacity by 15 beds. The goal would be to do this by installing sprinklers at the facility that would increase the current capacity from 20 guests to 35. The population that they serve are individuals and families experiencing unsheltered homelessness. This request also includes 10% or just a little over $16,000 in administrative funding. I will also note that there is part of the interdependent request is a request for administrative funds that would also support this in the amount of $12,000. In the review of the application, staff also confirmed that the sprinkler installation was not previously funded under the ARPA funding from 2024. So the county did assist with operating costs for the emergency shelter, but this capital investment was not included in that budget. This request would support a total project cost of $352,000, and Safe Shelter estimates that the 15 additional beds would provide shelter, overnight shelter for 60 people, 60 individuals throughout the course of a year. One of the other items to note here is that the target population would have to be under 80% of the area median income. At this time, Safe Shelter does not require income eligibility for somebody to access shelter, but if funded, would need to provide a process, would need to implement a process to verify income for guests that are staying in the shelter over time. Questions before I move on?
Do we know what the cost of the sprinkler system is?
The cost that we have here, the $352,000, is what we understood to be the total cost of the sprinkler system installation.
Okay. That's really high. And if I heard Anna correctly, you started the permitting process for the sprinklers? Okay.
Permits have been submitted.
Can you come up to the microphone though? Sorry. Our at-home listeners. Need the mic.
Hi, yeah, so permits have been submitted and we have contractors lined up for the planning and that's all been completed. and then for the interior work, and then we've received quotes for the exterior work, which would be moving the actual water line.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Do you have another question to yourself?
Yeah, sorry. A couple of quick questions. Just trying to remember how your program works. Does the shelter open during the day as well, or is it just nighttime beds?
Yeah, we have, we're open during the day and night. We do have some brief hours. Every day we're closed, but during that time, we have a mental health clinician and a community health worker that clients can meet with. And then we work very closely with community partners to provide services during the day. And then a lot of our folks are working or in school.
And then based off the information about having to meet the requirement for serving folks under 80% AMI, do you all have ideas on how you may create some type of mechanism to meet that?
We don't typically collect like pay stubs at the moment, but we do either find out if guests are already receiving other benefits such as Medicaid or SNAP. And then if they're not, we help them obtain those benefits. So we do have income verification process. It's just not pay stubs at the moment.
Cool. Great.
Thank you, Lana.
Thanks for all y'all's work. Thank you.
I think we're ready.
All right. The next request from Safe Shelter was the Athena launch. This is the Affordable Tiny Home Educational Network of Asheville. This is a $50,000 New Start request. The impact of this program is to construct one of 6 tiny homes for rent as a pilot for Safe Shelter guests who've experienced homelessness or are facing barriers accessing traditional housing. This would come out to $50,000 for the one unit. The design of this project is to fund the administrative costs of the startup of the Athena program that would connect the home builders, the workforce educators, community organizations, and volunteers, bring them together to construct these tiny home units, and then to place them on other property that could be used for rental purposes for the guests that have been served by Safe Shelter. This does represent 100% of the cost as an administrative request, and there is, as part of the administrative request that we'll discuss next, another $8,000 towards that purpose. The total cost for this project is projected at $300,000 for the construction of all 6 tiny homes.
All right.
Well, sorry, will those be at the West Asheville location?
I'm not sure which locations they plan to install in, but I hope that's one of the benefits of having the applicants available.
We appreciate y'all.
And
Thank
I
you.
think you've been designated as the question answer.
Yeah. Hey, y'all. So we have land that we already own that would be the location for most of these homes. But then we also have several partners throughout Buncombe County who would also be interested in having the tiny homes on their land. So it would be different from where Safe Shelter is located, but it would be, most of them are within a 10 or 15 minute drive, but throughout Buncombe County. And it would really be, these administrative and insurance costs would be supporting the entire year. So we expect it to serve at least 6 households with a long-term plan of having around 30 units on this land.
That's great.
Great.
Awesome. Thank you.
So New Start is a very limited scope program, it seems.
So I think the intent was to add flexibility in the program for unconventional approaches.
Yeah.
But given that there are a number of existing categories that projects can be funded under, New Start does have a certain bandwidth to that.
Other questions?
And then the third request from Safe Shelter would be for their administrative support grant of $20,000. This would have the combined impact of the shelter bed expansion and the tiny home construction project. The funds will be used to cover the staff costs associated with those projects, including financial management, reporting, and compliance. Average per bed or unit, combining those outcomes would be a little over $1,200 per bed or unit. Based on the expanded scope of the additional tiny homes, that might actually be lower. And so approximately 60% of the administrative support request would go to the construction of the grant with the shelter expansion, 40% for the Athena program. Again, 10% of this request would be for the administrative support for a combined project cost of $672,000 and at least 16 new units or beds.
Other questions on this ask? All right.
So the combined target populations here represent all three of the requests because it was a single application. So some of these percentages might represent different parts of the safe shelter request, but overall identified target populations in each category. In terms of funding consideration, Safe Shelter has incorporated in fall of 2025, previously operating under Trinity United Methodist. And so they are still in the process of securing their IRS nonprofit determination letter. Talking to the staff, that appears to be in the works in the coming weeks, but that would be a requirement condition of receiving grant funds through the Affordable Housing Service Program to make sure that is available or be able to identify a fiscal sponsor that could serve in that capacity. Again, the income eligibility of guests at or below 80% of their immediate income must be documented. Part of that is because of state statute for the county to serve households at those AMIs. Any of the housing activities that are authorized under state statute require that there be some substantiation to the households, the income of the households served. And then part of the application review of each request includes review of the financial health of the organization, given the change in the status of Safe Shelter as an independent nonprofit. They did not submit audited financials, and our finance team's review of their incomes and expense statements made it unclear that they were in a financially healthy position. Working with the continuum of care, there have also been concerns about the ongoing operations of the shelter location in West Asheville through the end of this year. So just wanted to identify that as a potential concern for the organization going forward and any grant funds provided for ongoing operations.
I'm okay. Yeah, because I think we do want to hear from you about if the 501c3 documentation isn't received, will you remain partners with the church? Will they be the fiscal agent? These are my questions. I'm just jumping in right here. Question number one, and then can you speak a bit about the financial solvency and what you're doing in terms of a comprehensive fundraising?
Yes. So Safe Shelter incorporated as an independent 501c3 in the fall of 2025. We are still waiting on our IRS determination letter. Our lawyer did submit an expedited request for that some weeks ago, so we do anticipate it in the next few weeks. And we are also confident that Trinity United Methodist, our former fiscal sponsor, would also provide that fiscal sponsorship if there was a delay in the letter. Yes, we have not yet had an audit, primarily because even though Safe Shelter has been operating for 4 years, we just became a nonprofit within the past few months. We do have some updated financials that show that we've always had revenues that exceed expenses, and currently we have over 780,000 secured and actively available, which funds us for the next 8 months. And then we have $1 million in pending grant applications as well. So we do feel like we're in a good financial position. And I can email this financial summary to Jonathan.
That'd be great. Thanks, Lana. Are there other questions for Safe Shelter? All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
So in terms of staff recommendation, Safe Shelter's shelter expansion construction grant request generally adheres to the program requirements and will be eligible for funding and implementation as of July 1, provided that the applicant is solvent. For the Athena launch, again, we have concerns at the staff level that the construction of a unit for rent would be more appropriate under the construction loan category, which could also include administrative costs for the unit construction, and that unit construction at face value is not a particularly new or unique strategy, but the applicant could return in a future cycle to request funds that would again be capped at 10% of the cost of the unit. For the administrative support request, the application generally conforms to the HSP requirements and will be ready for implementation. A full or partial award could be considered, but may need to be scaled depending on the awards for the other 2 requests. So if one request were to move forward and the other would not, you may want to consider the amount of administrative funding at that point. So the staff recommendation would be to consider full or partial award for the construction grant and administrative support.
All right. I will move on to Hart House.
So the second interdependent request was from the Hart House Comprehensive Recovery Community. And this is the first application was for a new start for their Hart House. It's a $50,000 request, and their housing impact would be the creation of eight transitional housing beds that would be free to folks that are experiencing homelessness for up to 2 years. The design of the program would be to rent and operate a 4-bedroom house in West Asheville, providing full services, support groups, peer support, mental and medical health services, employment, housing, food, transportation. This request comes out to just over $6,000 per bed, counting that as the housing impact there. This would represent the operating cost or project delivery cost of direct services provided to participants in this transitional housing program. It's not previously funded through the county and does not have any existing contracts. The total budget for this project is $115,000, and based on the number of beds, the anticipated impact would be 30 to 60 people annually. Questions?
Questions? All right.
And then the second component to this request would be administrative support for the same transitional housing program. This would be specifically administrative request for the executive director and program manager positions, representing a 100% administrative request of $50,000. Looking at the breakout for that budget, the project startup cost would total $203,000. Again, the overall impact would be 40 to 60 individuals.
All right.
Looking at the combined target populations for each, again, the totals don't come to 100% because of the overlapping populations. Just wanted to make sure that's clear. Both projects appear to adhere to the Affordable Housing Service Program requirements and would be eligible for funding. The applicant, as a new organization, would be requesting advanced grant payments. So rather than operating on a reimbursement basis, the request would be that we provide those funds up front. It's not clear that this project is ready for implementation. They still appear to be working on their location, staffing, and financial stability for the program long term. So the staff would recommend that the applicant consider applying in the future cycle when they have more big project.
Other questions? Okay. All right.
If there's questions.
If there's questions, then yes. If not, if you want to follow up with us and leave information with the staff, follow up with the staff, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Any questions? Okay.
So that is the full set of 11 applications for today's review. We still have 8 new construction requests that staff are working on those reviews and communicating with the applicants and should be sharing those full applications and staff reviews in the next week or so. The goal would be to review those at the March 31st meeting and then to have funding considerations in April 21st next week.
Sounds great.
Questions?
All right. I don't think so. And you are still up, Jonathan.
All right.
We got a
Just
consortium membership
keep
update.
rolling along. So the Asheville Regional Housing Consortium membership update has to do with a little bit of an overview of what we often refer to as the Home Consortium. This is based on the Cranston-Gonzalez National Affordable Housing Act from 1990 that established the Home Investment Partnership Program. HOME is not actually an acronym, it's just part of the name of the program. They decided that it needed to be in all caps, and it's overseen by the Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD. So with the creation of that program, the Asheville Regional Housing Consortium, the Home Consortium, was formed by the units of local government in 1992, representing the 4 counties of Buncombe, Henderson, Madison, and Transylvania counties. And the goal is to direct federal entitlement funds towards increasing the availability of safe and affordable housing. Each year, HUD allocates approximately $1.2 million to the consortium, and the activities of that program correspond quite well with the Affordable Housing Service Program. So looking at things like construction, rehab, homeownership, and rental assistance. The city of Asheville serves as the participating jurisdiction, so they are the fiscal sponsor for the program. They monitor activities, provide administrative support, and funding decisions are they are approved or recommended by the Home Consortium and adopted by Asheville City Council because they have that participating jurisdiction. So the table on the screen provides a breakdown of the county, townships, and unincorporated areas that are represented in the Home Consortium. So this is member governments of Buncombe, Henderson, Madison, and Transylvania that signed a joint cooperation agreement in 2010. So we've provided a copy of the proposed updated joint cooperation agreement. The reason this new agreement is being circulated to the member local governments is because Mars Hill and Marshall need to be formally added to the membership. They've had representatives that have participated for years, but there was a paperwork issue that HUD identified that means that each local government needs to adopt an updated version of the joint cooperation agreement. So the city staff have provided that to us and have asked the county to review and sign that new agreement recognizing Mars Hill and Marshall. So the request for the subcommittee action would be to review this and review recommendations.
Are there questions about this?
What is I used to be on this committee. What is the geographic boundary of the Home Consortium? Does it have an official boundary?
It would be the 4 participating counties.
Okay.
So it is a
Just the 4
4-county
counties.
consortium. There are individual members. So for instance, in Transylvania County has a representative, as well as the city of Brevard. Similarly, Buncombe County, Matt Card and I actually serve, and then there are representatives from the city within
The municipalities?
Yes.
Okay. So you need us to, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Parker.
Sorry, but for that reason, those
Mhm.
those local governments are within that boundary, just like literally physically they are. So therefore okay. There wasn't like a pen screw up. They're in Madison
They're in
County.
Madison County.
Okay.
Procedurally, each one of the local governments would need to adopt that joint agreement. Both Mars Hill and Marshall, they signed their joint agreements, and those were submitted to HUD, but the corresponding agreements weren't executed by all of the other member governments. So we are completing that process to recognize their participation.
So you need us to make a recommendation that the full Board of Commissioners
Yes.
approve an updated joint cooperating agreement.
I'll make a motion to make that recommendation.
Thank you, Parker. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Joe. Any further discussion or questions? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, recommendation passes. All right, announcements.
We do have one announcement, and that is that the Just Home project application is currently open. So Buncombe County is accepting proposals from partners interested in developing housing that supports individuals experiencing instability and repeated incarceration. The identified developer would be eligible to receive an MacArthur Foundation loan up to $5 million. This application is guided by the Housing Investment Action Plan, which was developed over the last year. There will be a virtual information session on April 2nd. This is encouraged but not required. The link to that virtual session is provided in the application. The application closes April 15th at noon. Interested developers can apply at buncombenc.gov/apply. This is a process that's being overseen by Max Tainter in the Strategy and Innovation Department. So if you have questions, those can be directed to him.
Great.
That is it.
All right, any other questions? All right, and our next meeting is March 31st at 1 PM, right back here.
Yes.
All right, are there any other questions or further discussion? All right, if not, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 2:01. Thanks, y'all.